Wonderful. It's wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everyone online. We are so thrilled to have you here this morning. I am the Reverend Christine Dance, and I am proud to be the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. Welcome, welcome home, welcome to our multi-platform worship. And welcome to you all worshiping online. Welcome to you all here in the desert. For those of you who are joining us here for the first time, a very special welcome to you. We are hosting a Get to Know UUCP after service this week online and next week here in person. If you are new or if you've been hanging out with us for some time, please come and join us for one or both events. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on diverse theological perspectives, radical inclusion, and knowing that issues of justice and equity shape everything that we do. For those of you here in the desert, we have made masks optional if you are here outside. It is so nice to see some of your faces for the first time in a long time. If you are huddled together in the shade, please try to mask if you are near folks that are not in your pod. Today we are exploring individualism in our continuing series exploring the characteristics of white supremacy culture. And with that, I offer you opening words from the beloved author and theologian Bell Hooks. Beloved, community is formed not by the eradication of difference, but by its affirmation, by each of us claiming the identities and cultural legacies that shape who we are and how we live in the world. And I did not get a chalice lighter, so by popular demand, guess what, Karen? Karen, we need an experienced chalice lighter for the moment. For those of you at home, I invite you to get a chalice or a candle at your home and bravo, Karen. Join me as we recite our covenant in a call and response format as you all light your chalices as well. Love is the doctrine of this congregation.
Love is the doctrine of this congregation.
The quest for truth is our sacrament. And service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace. To seek knowledge and freedom. To share our strength in fellowship. Thus do we covenant. It's up to you, Sam.
Is it?
It is.
You like Mr. Computer for some reason. Hello, my name is Sam Kirkland, and I'm honored to be serving as your worship associate today. Good morning. Good morning, my people on Zoom. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, even to my mother.
Aww.
Everything going on at UUCP can be found on our website, phoenixuu.org, and our weekly newsletter, Compass. It works just like you said, Christine.
It does, right?
After 2 years off, our choir is back, rehearsing mass on our patio on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. I was out there for the first one, and it's going to be fantastic. I would urge you and ask you to come on out and get your own choir vibe back on, okay? All right. Reverend Dan sent out a message on Wednesday letting us know that we will be returning to the sanctuary in 2 weeks on March 27th. Hooray! Please fill out the survey in the letter and on the website letting us know if you're planning to be there so we can decide if we need 1 or 2 services. 1 or 2 services, y'all. Shut up. For our folks online, the link to the survey is in the chat. And Kids Camp enrollment is open this week. Do you have a child who wants to be part of the longest running day camp in the Valley, a camp that embodies our UU values? Check out the website for more info. Hear ye, hear ye. Our service auction is scheduled. Listen to me. Stat. Now, before things change again, we'll be having on Saturday, April the 9th. Woohoo! 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 All right, thank you. We need your auction items. Be creative. Reverend Christine has put in 3 items. Do you want to host a bocce ball tournament, a barbecue, a pool party? Or maybe you want to write a poem for a lucky winner. Or maybe you can make a craft. A craft. This is an important fundraiser for the congregation, and it is a lot of fun. I'll be serving as one of your 3 auctioneers along with Duke and Melissa. And we're going to have a ball. It's medical themed, so think medical. All right. Think medical. All right. Our own Bonnie White is handing out ideas and flyers for those at home. The link for the ideas is in the chat. Please be creative and get your offers in by March 31st. That was fun. Today is our Share the Plate offering, which means that 100% of what is collected today goes to our Share the Plate partner. Online participants can donate via text, website, or mail. Those in person can donate in the boxes at the table at our entrance. This week, our Share the Plate partner is the Desert Institute for Family Planning, an organization that was spotlighted during our UU Jazz service by Janine Gelsinger in January. Desert Star Family Planning Institute's mission is to create equitable access to reproductive health care for womb-bearing people. I like that, womb-bearing people. I know that's right. While centering Black and Indigenous people of color. Donations support training for future abortion providers, doula services, community education, and access to long-acting birth control for uninsured individuals. We ask you to be generous in your giving to support this important work. You can text UUCP to 73256. You can donate through the website, or you can send a check. For all that you do, all that you give to our congregation, we are so grateful. And now for our Stewardship Month, we have a message from one of our board members, Francis Wiggett.
Good morning. Thank you, Sam. Excellent introduction. I'm Francis Wiggett. I am the secretary of your Board of Trustees. I'm here to make a plea for the pledge. It is that time of year, pledge drive. Last year, for the 2020-2021 fiscal budget, the first 3 months of the pandemic were covered in that year. We ended up a good $100K above budget. We asked, you gave. We appreciate. For the 2021 to 2022 fiscal year, the one we are in now, we have not met our pledge goals. We did have a budgetary beauty, a gift. Our bookkeeper found the employee retention credit, and that covered a good $82K of that which we were missing, and we are very grateful.
Yeah.
For the 2022-2023 fiscal year, this one coming up next, the goal of this particular drive, we are again asking for $630,000 in pledges. Please. For the specifics of our finances, this past year, we had a lot of costs involving the building, the facilities. The parking lot comes immediately to mind. We also had to invest in healthcare costs. Despite that, and because of the realities of what we are asking, we are again, I am repeating myself, I'm sorry, asking for $630,000 for this year's pledge. We have lots of dreams. We have lots of goals that we want to achieve as a congregation. We need to hire a new accompanist to assist the choir and the music program. We also have a lot of questions we have to ask ourselves. What do we want to be? Do we want to keep paying for our streaming and sound professionals who have made our lives so much easier, who have made us accessible online for those who cannot make it in person yet? Will we be able to hire a membership and engagement professional? Will we be able to hire an office assistant so that Stephanie is not alone in the office when we all come back on campus? How will we pay for a communications webmaster position? Currently, Anna Zell is volunteering and doing a wonderful job, but we really feel this should be a paid position. How will we be able to pay for an intern minister, which we will be eligible for come this October? And we still have two positions, our very own minister and our office manager are both being paid below the UUA midpoint for the range. This is a critical year. We have so much we want to accomplish. We have so many goals. We need to decide where we are going to be going, how big we will be, how many resources we're going to give ourselves, what kind of programming we're going to offer after this transformational pandemic. I keep wanting to minimize it and call it an epidemic. I'm sorry. The things that help us, that help define us, require money. Please pledge. Sam mentioned already the phoenixuu.org website. On the web page, at the top of the page, there are ways to give. When you open up that window, when you open up that particular tab or web page, at the very top, you can submit your pledge online. It's easy. I, for one, am giving half again what I gave last year. So please, for the community, thank you.
Thank you, Francis.
Check, check, check. Thank you, Francis. Appreciate that. So I'm Benji Messer. I'm the music director here at UUCP. And, you know, during this spring music series, I've been bringing in a lot of my favorite musicians in Phoenix. And our guests today, I think, actually are my favorite musicians in Phoenix. No, really. Meredith Moore and Michael Lander play American roots music. Blues, gospel, folk, jazz, country, rock and roll. They're the couple at the heart of one of our city's most popular bands, the Sugar Thieves. They met and started working as a duo in 2006, and when I moved to Phoenix the next year, all the ambitious horn players I knew were going to their shows just to sit in, just for free, just to get a chance, because it was a scene. Meredith and Michael have now been performing and writing songs together for 16 years, and I have seen their band, the Sugar Thieves, just become truly world class. So I feel lucky to count them as friends and to have them here today.
Thank
Thank you so much, Benji. Thank you guys for having us. What a beautiful day. Ooh, yeah. People, get ready, for the trains are coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear those diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. So people, get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open up the doors and border. There is hope for all among those who love the most. Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So people, get ready, for the trains are coming, picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is faith, faith to hear those diesels humming. There's no hiding place against the kingdom's throne. Said I believe, oh, said I believe, oh, said I do believe, said my love, said you know that I believe, said you don't need no ticket, baby, said you don't need no ticket, no, no. Oh, you don't need no baggage, you better thank, say my love, you better thank the Lord.
Thank you. If that doesn't bring the spirit, I don't know what does. Don't know. For Together Time, I want you all to repeat after me. And online folks, I'm looking at you too. I want you to say it at home. I want you all to say it. All of us need all of us to make it. All of us need all of us to make it. Say it with commitment. So these are the words of Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Teresa Ninan Soto. As we contemplate how individualism leaves us alone and not connected, I want you to get used to these words. Make them your prayer. Say it with me loud at the same time. All of us need all of us to make it. In a world where some of us are targeted for struggle and brutality, where others of us benefit and flourish, we pray with hushed voices. All of us need all of us to make it. In a world where powerful people of ill will and indifference can make us fearful for our safety and our futures, we pray. All of us need all of us to make it. In the excruciating space that lives between seeing and naming, between hearing and changing, we pray. All of us need all of us to make it. In a world where all too many are out for number one, themselves only, I want you to commit to this. All of us need all of us to make it. one more time. All of us need all of us to make it.
This morning, and what did I see? I heard of wild horses and they were running free. Their hoofs they danced and their manes blew with the wind. And I wonder now if I'll ever see them again. At midday I went out walking, and you know what I found. A great big mountain had crumbled to the ground. I wondered how something that stood so tall could stand for 100 years and one day up and fall. Well, I guess you and I will do the same. Still I wonder if we'll ever be back again. Well, that night sky, see, my Lord, it feels so sweet. And everything you hope to know, it lies right beneath your feet. And everybody's wondering what comes next. Oh, my Lord, honey, what comes next? When nighttime came, and what did I spy? Well, all the stars had fallen from the sky. When I asked the moon, why'd you do that, friend? She said everything, it must come to an end. Still I wonder, oh yeah, will they ever shine again? Will they ever shine again? Well, that night sky said, my Lord, it feels so sweet. And everything you hope to know, it lies right beneath your feet. And everybody's wondering, well, honey, what comes next? Oh, my Lord, what comes next? Yeah, I wanna know what comes next. I woke up this morning, and what did I see? I heard of wild horses, and they were running free. Their hoofs they danced, and their manes blew with the wind. And I wonder now, oh, can you hear me? Oh, said I wonder, yeah, 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 if I'll ever see them again.
So it is the time when we share the joys and sorrows of our community. Being together, it is good to share, to support, and to connect. Now, during the pandemic, we have thoroughly enjoyed expanding joys and sorrows. And I'm going to ask us to slowly start reining it back in again to a reasonable length of time. It was what we needed during the time. And now we want more of your big life events and maybe fewer weekend updates. How's that? I am inviting you to make it about your life events, knowing that there are way too many big things going on in the world for each one of us to mention. Folks on Zoom, please feel free to enter any joys and sorrows in the chat, putting your name at the beginning. And while our online folks are entering, I want to acknowledge some major concerns in our world. So many of us are watching in horror as Ukrainians are fleeing their homes, and other countries in Europe are doing what they can to take them in, and we see the unbridled aggression of a nuclear power threaten the little stability that we have in our world. We send our love and energy to the region while we do what we can to ease suffering here. And I want to also acknowledge that as we're focusing on the plight of the Ukrainian refugees, that there are currently over 26 million refugees in the world, the highest population on record. 63% of the world's refugees come from just 5 countries. And I want us to think about why we are getting 24/7 coverage of the Ukrainian refugees. It might be because this country has deep roots in Europe, and that many of the Ukrainians look like many of the Americans, namely that they are white. A reminder that 10% of the population of Eritrea, where we sponsored some refugees' families, over 492,000 people are refugees. Over 800,000 people from Sudan are refugees. Over 800,000 in the Democratic Republic of Chad are refugees. Over 1.1 million Rohingyas in Myanmar are refugees. There are 2.6 million refugees in Sudan and another 2.6 million refugees in Afghanistan, many of whom have moved here to Phoenix. Over 25% of the global refugee population are part of the global diaspora in the wake of the 10-year Syrian crisis, with 6.7 million people as of last year. I want us to think about this, not to feel bad, not to minimize at all what's going on in Ukraine, but also to think of the bigger picture. And as we are looking at the suffering of these mostly white folks fleeing Ukraine, of thinking of folks of all types who are displaced from their home all over the world. May we remember that war is hell, no matter where it is. Also, I want to give a personal message to the state where I came from before I moved to Arizona, would be Florida. Florida just passed a heinous Don't Say Gay law that outlaws talking about LGBTQ issues in schools. In every state, our schools have become our own battlegrounds, and our children are political pawns as conservatives see this as an issue that will garner them votes. So Florida, I have this to say to you. Gay, 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 gay. We will say it, and we will say it, and we will say it, and we will never be quiet. You cannot legislate us away. Ah, that felt good. Now let's take a deep breath while we create space for the joys and sorrows in our community. We have a sorrow from Chris Wachoff. Sorrow for my stepfather entering a nursing home on Wednesday, and joy for my mother who is relieved of caregiving. We're sending love to your family, Chris. And I have from the Stevenson Brown family 2 sorrows. This week we lost Shelley's Aunt Donna, who is aged 96, and Keith's sister Hillary, after living with cancer for the last 3 years. So much in 1 week, both of you. And a joy that Shelley is with her father, Keith, in Colorado. And thanks in part to the hospitality of Dylan and the Lifshitz family, Chloe is enjoying time with friends in Phoenix before heading for an extended stay with her grandfather in Colorado. Oh, so much going on in your family. You always send big love to you all. And Andy and Rose Coe-Pasco, a joy. We are celebrating our 2-year anniversary tomorrow on Pi Day. Pi Day. It was so magical. They all got married. They got married right here, and it was just as the world was imploding, and it was this beautiful, beautiful wedding of joy and love on Pi Day. And guess what they had at their wedding? Pie. Lots and lots of pie. We have 2 in-person joys and sorrows from Eric Ariano. My good friend lost her election for Tempe City Council. Disappointed, remembering we won't win every fight. I appreciate people like her for putting themselves out there to make a more just world. And Carol and Lother is celebrating that we are going to be in the sanctuary and not wearing masks here, so big celebration for that. So I invite you all at home, settle into your couches. It's so nice to see so many of your beautiful faces. Center yourselves here in the desert. Put your feet on the floor. Center yourselves, lower your shoulders. Get comfortable. Take a deep breath as I share the words of Reverend Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships, make your presence known with us and in us and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in history. Ignite us with the courage of the living tradition, and remind us that we are not alone in entering the future. Anchor us with patience and perseverance. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your spirit, manifest in human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world. Divine music of the universe, let our hearts beat in diverse and harmonious rhythms, cooperating with the everlasting dance of love. May we move with the rhythms of peace. May we move with the rhythms of compassion. May we move with the rhythms of justice. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all of our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal of faith. Open our hands to join together in the work ahead. So may it be. Join me in a moment of silence. Amen. Blessed be, and Ashe.
My grandmother wrote this song when she was 17. It was 1941 at the start of the World War. She wrote this in the form of a poem, and we turned it into a song. It's called Glory, Glory. When evening shadows calmly ascend, and a long dreary day has come to an end, that little lamp of life burns bright, oh Lord, and it leads us through the dark of night. Oh, now, oh, I said, now won't you shine down on me? For that one that you love, who's watching that light through that mist from above. When that little light shines, yeah, when it burns no more, you know God's called his flock, oh, to that distant shore. Glory, glory, well now Lord, glory, glory. I said, now won't you shine down on me, honey, down on me. Well, maybe it's burning for that one far away, whose love, my Lord, you can see it someday. Oh, when that light, when it burns no more, it's when God's called his flock, yeah, to that distant shore. Glory, glory, well now Lord, glory, glory. Say now won't you shine down on me. The carpet that it spreads in the afterglow, in my fate, in my die tomorrow. Oh, let that little light, let it burn, let it burn, let it burn. You know everyone is gonna have their turn. Oh, glory, glory, send my Lord, glory, glory. I said now, send my Lord, send my Lord. Oh, now shine down on me, yeah. Say glory, glory, say let it shine down on me.
At least I think I have it. I got it. All right. Hey, Zoomites, UUCP Zoomers, how you doing? Oh, the sugar thieves. Oh, my goodness. Ah. So I'm having a difficulty. Yeah, if you could. Oh, wait a minute. I think I might be able to fix it. All right. Well, I know. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, jeepers.
Here you go.
Okay, all right, okay.
There you go.
Oh, you can
There.
touch it?
Well, you can,
Okay,
but this
all right.
also works.
Okay.
Yeah, so there, yeah. You can do both. You can do both. You got this.
Okay, all right. There is an old African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I recently had the privilege to fly to Michigan for work and to visit friends and family. The Common Ground Education Foundation presented its inaugural African Americans in Union Leadership Conference in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'd like to thank our executive board for their part in creating, not our UUCP executive board, but the executive board for Common Ground, for their part in creating a wonderful inaugural event that inspired even this grizzled old labor educator. I also got to spend time with my 89-year-old father, Sam Kirkland, who in the weeks before my visit had been rushed to the emergency room on at least 2 occasions and was recently outfitted with a pacemaker that he said he's gonna, live every bit of the warranty that they said they were gonna give him for it. He said they're gonna give him 20 years. He said, don't be surprised if he tried to get every bit of that out of that pacemaker. I was like, all right, Pop, I like that. Okay. Then I drove over to Syracuse to spend time with Daryl, Red, Dion, who's now, Pop's grandbaby baby is now a kindergartner. And I got to spend some time with my chocolate drop, Devin, who turns 2 on March the 30th, my COVID grandbaby. So when a lot of people say stuff about COVID, I can't get into it because I had one of the biggest blessings I could have ever asked for. All right. So Common Ground has an executive board of 31 people, all driven toward the same goal: the best worker education that can be provided for as many people as possible. All right. My father's care team works together in grace and transparency. His spouse, Jeanette, and my brother, Shannon, provide a network of care, empathy, and love that surrounds him like a well-crafted quilt. And the Lovell household in Syracuse is a well-oiled machine. And although grandparents might drop in to visit, the family rhythm and commitment to each other remains true north for them. So for me, an older African American, this visit was an opportunity to hold as a mantra and practice the honored African proverb of, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to see if this resonates with you all. When I moved to Arizona, someone described Arizona politics to me in a way that kind of makes sense. Well, as much as state politics can make sense. So they said, you need to remember 2 things. First, that Arizona was proudly the last state in the continental United States. They waited until everyone else had joined, and then, and only then, they voted to become part of the U.S. They wanted to be the last holdout. Arizona wanted to be special, right? And second, this is the land of rugged individualism, of cowboys riding into the sunset, of don't tell me what I can do with my land. Honestly, when I think of Arizona, those 2 things, independent holdouts and rugged individualism, many of things in this state make sense. It doesn't make it right, but they give the unique brand of weird politics of Arizona a little bit more context. Are you all finding that? Do those things make sense for you all here too? We are continuing our series on the characteristics of white supremacy culture as we live into our commitment to our newest 8th principle to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. We've talked about a whole bunch of things: perfectionism, urgency, and today we are talking about individualism. But first, let us talk about why we are talking about the characteristics of white supremacy culture and how they keep us from being connected. What I've loved about this series is that it has created conversations with all of you. People are referencing the different characteristics in conversations with me and others, and we're getting the opportunity to build the conversations. One of the questions that I've heard from several of you is something along the lines of, I get how these are part of our culture. I get that they might be negative, but how are they white supremacist? And how do embracing their antidotes help us to create a less racist and more inclusive world? So I'm going to try a different way of explaining this and see if I can create a through line for you. The culture in the United States and much of the Western world, something happened on my Zoom and I got a pop-up, and I'm hoping that you all can still see me. The culture in the United States and much of the Western world comes from a white Eurocentric culture. While early civilization started with a dominant culture in Asia and Africa, after the Roman Empire, much of the dominant culture came from Europe and then expanded to the Americas along with others with colonialization. Part of this colonialization was to intentionally spread this culture to the savages, quotes. The prevailing thought was that white Eurocentric culture was the right culture and the more civilized culture. Whether we are white or brown or black or any combination thereof, this is the culture that we have grown up in and accepted as the norm. The problem is that this culture inherently is dehumanizing to folks who do not come from white Eurocentric lines. And the specific traits that we've been talking about, perfectionism, urgency, worship of the written word, the expectation of comfort, and now individualism, all help support that white culture is better than other cultures. And we've all brought that into that thought. We've bought into it somehow, one way or another. Our dominant culture is dehumanizing. And dehumanization leads to separation, and separation is the key component to racism. And therefore, we've got to go back. We've got to go back to the basis of all of it, this culture, and pull it apart and recreate it. Breaking down the elements of this white supremacist culture and focusing on the antidotes help us to connect to each other more and connect to ourselves to make ourselves more whole. We are alienated from ourselves and from each other. So we need to find ways to make ourselves more whole as a society and as individuals. So let's talk a little bit about individualism, because if there is a time, people, that we should realize that individualism is toxic, it should be now. In the pandemic, we've realized that one person alone can't slow a curve or stop a transmission, that it takes a community. In the war in Ukraine, we are understanding just how small our world is, that the consequence of Putin's aggression, and we are understanding this from the small ways to the big ways to the cost of gas at our pumps. That one person's action can literally create an environmental, humanitarian, and nuclear disaster. We understand that one protester can take a stand, but when millions gather together, they can make us rethink our whole policing system. We know this. Especially as religious liberals, we understand that we are all connected. But yet we cannot deny that our culture is all about individualism. There's this story that we can make it on our own without help. We can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. This is the part of so many narratives in this country, so many hero journeys of so many of our movies and our TV shows, so much of our own thinking. This cultural attachment to individualism leads to a toxic denial of our essential interdependence and the reality that we are all in this literally together. So let's talk a little bit about how this shows up. And for this one, I'm going to talk specifically about how it plays in race. For white people, it often looks like this. I'm not racist. I'm a good person. Yeah, I'm white. I'm a really good person. White folks demand to be seen as individuals and not as a part of the larger white group. Furthermore, when we talk about I'm not racist, I'm a good person in an individual way, we are failing to recognize the larger systems of racism and oppression. When we look at ourselves only as individual, it blinds us to broader systems that have always existed within our society and our institutions. The I'm not racist is the most harmful, most individual statement in our collective society that is racist. Now, there's a double-edged sword to this, because while white folks often demand to be seen as individuals, black folks are often lumped into a group. Whether we call that minorities or inner city or those Black Lives Matter protesters, they are seen as a group. And while white folks demand that individualism, black folks are often criticized for not being team players. In other words, there's repercussions for black people when they act as that individual that white folks feel entitled to, and when that individualism threatens the team. You all okay? Taking a breath? You all right? Okay.
I'm okay.
You good, Sam? Preach, sister. Individualism is what makes us say, I've got this, and head off to do things as the metaphorical Lone Ranger, rather than asking for help or collaborating, which always, as Sam said, creates better solutions. It is what makes us believe that asking for help is a burden or a sign of weakness. Individualism is very connected to perfectionism. It's this idea that there is only one way of doing things and that the weight of doing it right is resting solely on our own shoulders. That's wrong, by the way. And it is very related to feeling in control. If we don't do it ourselves, then we lose control. And our society does not want us to lose control. Individualism can lead to charismatic leaders being put on pedestals. It leads to separation and accountability that has resulted in such travesties as the Catholic molestation crisis, authoritarian leaders around the world, most notably Putin in Russia, and someone I'm not going to say here in the United States, who are the epitome of authoritarian individualism. The idea that I alone can fix this. Individualism makes us think that leaders are the people out front who are leading by themselves, and that folks who are stepping back to make room for other voices are somehow weaker. Individualism most concretely leads to separation, to loneliness, to lack of connection. And that lack of connection degrades our sense of humanity of others. Do you all see it? Do you see it? Do you see how individualism has pervaded our reality from every angle? Do you see how it is dominant in politics and religion, in business and movies, in our families? Do you see it in yourself? So what is the antidote for this? What is the solution? Like many addictions, we must be able to name it as a problem in ourselves, in our society first. And I want you to be on the lookout for this going it alone mindset in yourselves and others. Think of it as being countercultural. We're good at that thinking, aren't we? We like it. If we say, ooh, the not going alone is countercultural, then maybe we can do that. And when we start to feel like we need to do something on our own, stop. Think about who we can involve and how much better it will be if we do. Get rid of this notion that we are bothering people by involving them. And notice when you see teamwork and collaboration happening and recognize it. Give credit to all of the workers who are involved, not just the leaders. So, and then here's the hard part. Those of us who wear dominant identities, those of us who are white or who identify with this gender that they were assigned with at birth, or who are heterosexual, or who are neurotypical, or who are male, or who are financially privileged. You all get to understand that when you are an individual, but you are also part of these dominant groups. And then you have the opportunity to understand the toxicity that can come with those dominant identities. Yes, they can be toxic. How? Because those identities are often seen as both better and normal. And because that is the case, any other identity is seen as less than or abnormal, inherently. Not because of something you did, but because they are dominant identities. We see how this is playing out. We see how the right wing of the Republican Party openly is claiming white identity as better. White pride means that whiteness is being seen as the better race, which means that any other race is less than. Now, it used to be veiled. We used to see this like subversively said, kind of dog whistles along the side. It's not even veiled anymore. It is so very overt. And it can be because the majority of their constituents are white and agree with this idea. We're seeing it in the Don't Say Gay legislation, the anti-trans bans in school sports and bathrooms. It is inherently saying that being cisgendered is normal, and therefore anything else is abnormal and can therefore be banned, legislated, or controlled. So what I'm giving you is the opportunity to critically look at the dominant cultures that we're a part of and to recognize their toxicity in our lives. That is not to mean that we need to be ashamed of them, because that doesn't do us any good. But we need to see how they are keeping us from being separated and not equal to others. And my fellow white folks, let's let go of the "but I'm not racist" line. Okay? That is inherently a classic individualism response. Let us look communally and acknowledge that racism is everywhere, baked into our systems and our legislature and our thoughts. In this case, literally, it isn't about you. Don't make it about you. And ironically, the only way that we can do that is to individually refuse to make it about us. My friends, I'm appealing to you to see that individualism is toxic. And it is a core characteristic that leads to racism and oppression. When we are the center of the universe, then inherently everyone stands outside in a lesser than place. And when a whole bunch of individuals feel like they are entitled in their superiority, then you are left reinforcing those dominant cultures with all of the power. We are all connected. All of us need all of us to make it. We are not islands. Surely we know this by now. All of us need all of us to make it.
They said everything can be replaced. They said every distance is not near. Oh, and I remember every face of every man who put me here. And I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, Lord, I shall be released. Said every man needs protection. Say that every man must fall. Oh, and I swear I see my reflection somewhere so high above that wall. And I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, Lord, I shall be See this man next to me in this lonely crowd, a man who swears he's not to blame. And all day long I hear him shouting out loud, just crying out, he's been parade. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, Lord, I shall be released. Any day now, baby. Any day now, oh yeah. Said you know I shall. Said you know I shall. Oh yeah. Said you know that said you know my love. Said you know that oh I shall be released.
Meredith and Michael, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you so much. Whew. So I just want to tell you all, because I know some of you saw a commotion here. Those of you online might not have seen it. There was a trooper that came who said that we did not have a permit for amplification, and permits in Paradise Valley, as we know, are a thing. I want to think it's because we all yelled gay, 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 gay. That's what I think. I hope they heard it too. So we turned down the sound a little bit. So at the conclusion of the service, we will have an online coffee hour immediately. We hope that as many of you online will join us. And remember that we've got a Get to Know UUCP during the coffee hour for any newcomers, and there is an in-person one next week. I want to tell you that next week is our pet blessing. Now, we are using our last outside service also as our pet blessing. Bring your pets. If you don't have any pets, you're not going to want to miss it anyway. It's just going to be adorable and chaotic and amazing. And we're going to talk about the way that our pets, the ones that we have now and those in our histories, have shaped us and how they have given so much to us. So please look for details on that. And remember, my beloveds, all of us need all of us to make it. We are not islands. Surely we've learned that intellectually by now, and now is the time to internalize it. We cannot be purely individuals, and create ourselves as barriers between ourselves, and inherently then when we divide in groups, we cannot allow some to be deemed inferior and superior. Let us embrace our community, our communal goals and dreams and flaws. Let us dream of that beloved community that Dr. King dreamed of, where all of us are making it. Go in peace. Go in love. Go in community. Mwah.